Hi, Mrs. Jeffers here. Today we are going to be talking about different kinds of mindsets. So I know in some of your classrooms, you might already know a lot about fixed mindset and growth mindset. So for those of you that aren't sure what that is, a fixed mindset means kind of that our skills, the way we think about things, the way we do things are already set and they cannot be changed. So that is why there is a picture of a lock. It means when you're fixed, that there's nothing that you can do to make anything better or worse. It just is what it is. We also want to talk about growth mindset. And that means that everything that we do can be developed and grown through practice and perseverance, one of our life skills, which means to keep at it. And so growth mindset is the mindset that is always our goal, because we can always learn new things and make improvements. And even when something is hard, we keep trying. That is growth mindset. So this is a great quote that definitely has to do with mindset. H.G. Wells said, "If you fell down yesterday, stand up today." And that's a great example of our growth mindset, because sometimes mistakes happen. Sometimes we fall down, but that shouldn't keep us from getting up and trying again. You might be familiar with the nursery rhyme Humpty Dumpty. Let me share it with you now. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Now, do you think that that story is an example of a fixed mindset, that lock, or growth mindset like the plant? They couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. To me, that kind of sounds like a fixed mindset. They tried, they said it was too hard, and they just moved on. But guess what? We're in luck, because today we are going to read the story after the fall. And this story is how Humpty Dumpty got back up again. So we'll see as we're reading it, if you can see what kind of mindset that Humpty Dumpty might have had. My name is Humpty Dumpty. I'm famous for falling off a wall. You may have heard about it, but that's only half of the story, because I decided to get back up. And when I did, something amazing happened. This story is all about my life after the fall. My name is Humpty Dumpty. This was my favorite spot, high up on the wall. I know it's an odd place for an egg to be, but I loved being close to the birds. Then one day I fell. I'm sort of famous for that part. Folks called it the Great Fall, which sounds a little grand. It was just an accident, but it changed my life. Fortunately, all the king's men did manage to put me back together. Well, most of me. There were some parts that couldn't be healed with bandages and glue. After that, I became afraid of heights. I was so scared that it kept me from enjoying some of my favorite things. Now, I want you to stop and think for a second. Do you have any fears that have ever kept you from doing something that you enjoy? It's natural. We all have different kinds of fears. Some are things where we're just a little nervous or worried to try. And then we have some things that we are just so scared of, and we don't think that we might ever be able to do it. It almost feels impossible. But it depends on what kind of mindset. Hopefully we're going to use that growth mindset, that even when it's hard or even when we might be scared, we can do it. Let's see what happens to Humpty Dumpty next. I walk past that wall every day, and I would think about climbing that ladder again. I really miss the birds and being high above the city, but I could never do it because I knew that accidents can happen. I eventually settled for watching the birds from the ground. It wasn't the same, but it was better than nothing. Then one day, an idea flew by. Making planes was harder than I thought. It was easy to get cuts and scratches, but day after day I kept trying and trying until I got it just right. Wow, that is sounding like Humpty is starting to get a little bit more of a growth mindset. He keeps trying and trying until he gets it just right. My plane was perfect, and it flew like nothing could stop it. I hadn't felt that happy in a long time. It wasn't the same as being in the sky with the birds, but it was close enough. Unfortunately, accidents happen. They always do. Oh no, so Humpty Dumpty's paper airplane went up on that wall and it got stuck. What do you think he can do? Now, if he has a fixed mindset, he'll just leave it up there and say, I guess I'll go make a new paper airplane. But if he's demonstrating our growth mindset, maybe he'll get a little courage to go up that ladder and get his airplane. Let's see what happens next. I almost walked away again. But then I thought about all the time I'd spent working on that plane and all the other things I had missed. I decided I was going to climb that wall. But the higher I got, the more nervous I felt. I didn't want to admit it. I was terrified. Now, if he had come to Cypress Creek, he would know about some strategies that he could maybe try if he was so terrified. Maybe he'd try taking some deep breaths, or imagining a peaceful place, or thinking of a happy thought, or maybe he would be doing a stop, drop, and roll. But he is attempting. He's showing our life skill of courage by at least trying to climb up that ladder. Let's see what happens next. I didn't look up. I didn't look down. I just kept climbing one step at a time until I was no longer afraid. Maybe now you won't think of me as that egg who was famous for falling. Hopefully, you'll remember me as the egg who got back up. Look at that, the eggs cracking, see some wings there, and learned how to fly. So we can accomplish big things when we have a growth mindset, just like Humpty Dumpty did. Success begins with believing that you can, and you can do so many amazing things. So on this chart, everything on the red side is that fixed mindset. Things like, I can't do it, or this is too hard, or I give up. And so today we're going to talk about some things that we can do to change any of that mindset from fixed to growth mindset. So for an example, sometimes I've heard students say, like, I'm not good at this. This subject, I'm not good, or I can't do that. So instead of thinking, I'm not good at this, if we change it to growth mindset, we're thinking, what can I learn to get better at this? Or sometimes I've heard, oh, that other kid or the other students, they're just better at that than I am. But a growth mindset way is thinking is, what could I learn from them? Another example I sometimes hear kids say, I give up. But a growth mindset way of thinking is that you'll try it a different way. If that's not working, what else could I try? What else could I do? So growth mindset is so important in order for us to accomplish big things. Now, one of the things that I wanted to share with you today is students that show growth mindset display a lot of our life skills. And here's just an example of 3 life skills that growth mindset tie directly into: perseverance, which means to keep at it; pride, satisfaction from doing your personal best; effort, to do your best. All of those life skills have directly to do with growth mindset. Now it's time for a little growth mindset reflection. So I'm going to read a couple statements and I want you to think, is that something that you always do? Is that something you do often or sometimes? Or is that something that you are not doing yet? Now, this is just for you. So the first one, I know my brain can grow and learn. I want you to think inside your head, is that something you always do and agree with? Is that sometimes you sometimes believe, is that you know your brain can grow and learn? Or is that not a thought that you think of yet? All right, what about the next one? I try hard things. Always try hard things? That you often try hard things? Or you try to avoid hard things so far, but not yet, because we can still work on that with our growth mindset. All right, our next reflection question. I learn from my mistakes. Is that something you always do? I hope so. I hope it's something that you try to do. Is it something that you often do? If you make a mistake, learn from it and think, what can I do differently next time? Or what can I do to make sure that I don't make that same poor choice again? Or is that something that you are not doing yet? I think most of you are often or always doing that. So that's a great one. How about this one? I keep trying until I get it. Do you always do that? If so, keep up the good work. Is that something that you often do? Or is that something you haven't done yet? And that a lot of times if something's hard, you just kind of quit or give up. Now this one is a really, really important thing when it comes to school, because we got to keep trying because things build on other things. And then our final growth mindset reflection, I set goals for myself. Now, I know a lot of you set goals. Maybe it is a goal when it comes to reading or reading counts. I know many of you set iReady goals. So I know a lot of you are often or always doing this. But I want you to think, is that something that you need to improve on? Is that something that you haven't been doing yet? Because we are going to set a growth mindset goal for you right now. So this activity, your teacher may have you do either on paper or they might project it on the screen for you, but I want you to, regardless if you do it as a whole class, I want you to think about some of these questions right now. So that way we can develop your growth mindset goals and keeping your selfie on the right path. So I want you to think about 2 things that you are good at. Maybe it is something that you do at school. It's a subject in school that you're really good at. Maybe it's something outside of school. I know many of you are involved in different kinds of sports or activities. Maybe that's something that you enjoy and that you're good at. Now below that, the question is, I have been working on. Maybe you've been working on something and to improve. Maybe you've been really trying to build your vocabulary words, or you've been really practicing some of your math facts. What is it that you have been working on in order to improve? That right there is a great goal. The right-hand side, I want to be able to. So some of you might have some long-term goals. It might be something that you want to be able to do in the summer, or maybe something that you want to be able to do next year. Some of you might be thinking of way long-term goals. You might be thinking if you want to go to college someday, or what kind of career you might want to have. Because making good choices now will allow all those opportunities to happen in the future. And then the final question I want you to think about right now is, when I make mistakes, Now, if you were honest during your reflection, you might say, you know what, there are some things that I can work on. When Ms. Jeffers was reading those things, I was thinking, no, that was a not yet. Now is an opportunity where you can change that mindset from being fixed to being a growth mindset of, when I make mistakes, I keep on trying, or I learn from others, or I ask for help. I don't just give up and say, this is too hard, I can't do that. I'm so proud of all of you for thinking of some mindset goals right now. Now I'm going to leave you with this quote by Thomas Fuller. All things are difficult before they are easy. There are so many things that you have already accomplished, and you will continue to accomplish even more when you have a growth mindset. So keep doing the best that you can each day. And if you're struggling, remember that all things are difficult before they are easy. Keep on trying, keep on persevering, keep on demonstrating our life skills of pride and effort and perseverance, and have a wonderful rest of your day.